Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I took a long break from my channel. Sorry, for school-related reasons. Welcome to another video on my channel, and this is my first video to have a voiceover, or that's what it's called, I think. Now, as you already know from my previous videos, I love the Amnesia series. In my opinion, it's one of the best forms of science fiction. It is tackling on some new ideas in science fiction that haven't been talked about before. Well, assuming Amnesia is a science fiction. Today I'm going to be talking about the inhabitants of the other world from the Amnesia series. Now, for context, in the Amnesia series, the otherworldly people have always been mentioned. Oh, sorry for that. Their first appearance dates back to The Dark Descent, the first installment, with our first example of these people being Alexander of Brandenburg or Brennenberg. Now, what we do what we do know about them is that first they're an intelligent species and live in a place called the other world. Now we don't really know what the other world really looks like. We do see it in Amnesia Rebirth. However, the main problem is we know that we initially it is not what the other world initially looked like. You see, in the events of Amnesia Rebirth, a plague has already how do I say this, destroyed or rotted the rest of the otherworldly people's planet, which has led to their planet becoming very desolated and destroyed, leading to what we see in Amnesia Rebirth. Now, first, what we need to pinpoint is that, according to Amnesia the Dark Descent, the otherworldly people are ancient. Now, the otherworldly people are often believed to be aliens of sorts. You already know where this is going. Now, according to the Dark Descent, by the time human civilization has already developed or existed or come into existence, the otherworldly people civilization have already been around for a very long time. In other words, they are very old, older than humanity itself in the Amnesia universe. Now, another thing is that they're very advanced, more technologically advanced than humanity during the time period Amnesia takes place in. They utilize technologies just like, sorry, the Traveler's Locket, a form of technology that they use to teleport to, presumably to teleportation to other worlds. Thing is, we don't really know if they're able to breach dimensions or simply breach gaps in space which allows them to enter different points in space. In other words, the Amnesia fandom is attempting to piece together whether the otherworldly people are traveling between dimensions or between planets. Now they utilize technologies just like the Traveler's Locket, which I sketched here. This is my own depiction of it. I have my own series on how the Traveler's Locket actually works, but that's for another day or another video. They also utilize things called orbs. The, this is my sketch or depiction of what an orb looks like. Now orbs are blue and are round. They're also said to have been used by European kings and queens during the ancient era or medieval era. Now orbs have a shifting nature. When they are shattered, they change colors entirely. In Amnesia: The Dark Descent, we can see that A shattered orb has shards that have colors that range from white, red, violet, blue, yellow, etc., etc. Now, orbs are somewhat just like glass in terms of fragility or durability. In Amnesia: The Dark Descent, there are multiple instances of orbs shattering. More specifically in the notes. First of all, Agrippa's orb was shattered and Daniel's orb was also shattered. Or we assume that it shattered because it isn't really specified what happened to his orb. What we do know, however, is that these orbs are breakable. However, they can easily be glued back together using things like tar or paste, or basically it basically behaves physically like like a form of glass. It's heavily debated, but we come to the conclusion that the orbs are invented by the otherworldly people. Put a double line here. You see, Alexander of Brennenberg, an otherworldly resident of the otherworldly civilization, well, that is until he was exiled in the Dark Descent, describes orbs as a common object of sorts. They call it a replaceable item. Now, you see, humans also do the same thing. For example, this pen. I call it a pen. We know how to use it and we know there are multiple of them. We take these things for granted while way back in the way back in the 1800s, things like this would be super expensive and very useful given that pens and pencils at the time period were absolutely terrible at writing. Search it up. Flood pens. They're the worst. It would be logical to assume that an advanced civilization would take such things for granted, similar to humans of 2023 taking things like smartphones for granted, while some time ago, let's just say the 90s or the 80s, such technology would have been impossible. Nevertheless, what we know is that the otherworldly people are very advanced in both science and technology. In Amnesia Rebirth and in Amnesia the Bunker, there's a mention of things called rifts. This is my own depiction of a rift. Please wait. Pen not working. Eh. Now, rifts look somewhat similar to this depiction. It is said to be tears or rifts in our world. They cause bizarre effects which result in gravity even not even working near them. Rocks can float, they can be held in place, and based on the sounds they make, they appear to be suspended by magnets or something. Magnetism, I guess. This is my own depiction of a rift. This is a tear, and these are the rocks floating around it. Now, let's get into let's get into history. So, putting aside the fact that they're another intelligent species that appear to be less advanced than humans at first glance, but in reality they're more advanced. The only reason why it appears that they're less advanced than us is because is their grammar. There are multiple instances of otherworldly people in Amnesia Rebirth and Amnesia the Dark Descent that depicts otherworldly people to be capable of speaking languages. However, the problem is that they still use old terminologies and use old language like si, zai, seek, yi, but they are more advanced than us. They just got the short end of the stick in terms of language. Now, the otherworldly people arrived here presumably somewhere as early as the fall of ancient Greece. Now, we know this is because in Amnesia the Bunker, there are multiple depictions of the Roman emperor during the second century with an orb. Also, in Amnesia Rebirth, we see multiple ancient depictions showing that the otherworldly people been around for a very long time, basically ancient aliens. Now, first we have to get into their motives of entering Earth in the first place. After all, why would we go to a place with primitive people in it? You see, this is because in the otherworldly people's planet, there is a resource called vitae or vitae. In Amnesia, vitae or vitae is basically adrenaline. Thing is, vitae or vitae is what the otherworldly people call it. This is a depiction of the glass jar containing vitae from Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Now, you see, when the otherworldly people first entered this place, they saw humans who were just primitive and they just coexisted with them on Earth until they found out the organisms of Earth produce adrenaline. That is when they turned to humans. Humans are the best at producing adrenaline. Adrenaline was produced in the brains, is produced in the brains of people or organisms that are in a state of panic, distress, or anything. It's like a stimulant in the brain. However, humans are the best at doing it. Because of them being intelligent creatures, their minds run rampant with imagination. This results in their brains being stimulated with tons of adrenaline flowing. Humans are better at producing adrenaline or a vitae than any other animal. In Amnesia: The Dark Descent, we know this because Alexander of Brennenberg made attempts of harvesting vitae from animals, only to figure out they gave an unsatisfactory result of low vitae. Then they started taking humans and then using machines to stimulate vitae or adrenaline inducing thoughts or emotions in the brain. Now, keep in mind, vitae is a powerful resource in the Amnesia series. The otherworldly people crave it. It is used as a form of medicine and fuel for machines. In Amnesia, a machine for pigs, we know this because Oswald Mandus utilizes compound X, a type of modified version of adrenaline mixed with other chemicals, which, in case you forgot, is used to power the engineer or the great machine in the game, or I mean in the installment. Now, thing is, the otherworldly people were somewhat similar to humans in terms of morals. So as a result, some otherworldly people called out how cruel or unjust this was, exploiting a primitive species, I'm talking about humans, for something as for like a physical object or physical substance known as vitae. Oh, and keep in mind the otherworldly people are also very dependent on machines. They depend on machines like the traveler's locket to travel between dimensions, and they have perfect dependence on it. So much so that when Alexander Brennenberg, once again an otherworldly inhabitant in Amnesia: The Dark Descent, lost and or broke his, he was in a sheer panic, which led to him staying on Earth for entire centuries. Now, another thing we need to put into consideration is that the otherworldly people appear to be somewhat different to humans in terms of biology. They're somewhat similar and somewhat different. First, the otherworldly people are blue. Another thing we know is that by looking very closely at Alexander of Brennenberg from Amnesia the Dark Descent, we can discern that their hair is white. It could be possible that it was originally another color but turned white due to aging or other processes, but that's what we have to go out of. In Amnesia Rebirth, we see that Empress Tin Hanan and Kita were both how do I say this? They both had white hair. Or we assume that it's hair. We don't know much of their biology. For what for all I know, their hearts could be latched to their brains. Their brains could be in their chests. We don't know a lot about their biology, but we know they are somewhat like humans. They're humanoid in shape because a humanoid shape appears to be very efficient, especially for intelligent species. And by that, I mean I'm talking about humans. You see, when the humanoid shape is bipedal, these two produce good motion, and the hands here can do other things other than just make the creature walk. Cause we because of these two legs here moving the thing, we have two free arms here, which could do things just like hold sticks, hold rocks, and it could lead to invention, something that would spark civilization. Long story short, a humanoid shape appears to be a very go-to build or main for those looking to be an intelligent species. Now, another thing is that the otherworldly people appear to have very long lives. However, in Amnesia Rebirth and Amnesia the Dark Descent, we know very well that that's not the case, and that the otherworldly people are actually dependent on vitae for that, or adrenaline. It's possible they even had shorter lifespans, shorter than humans probably. Alexander of Brennenberg and Kita from Amnesia Rebirth and Amnesia the Dark Descent appear to be very scared for their life when vitae supply runs low. I don't know, but Kita looks very panicked the when we take away the machine that's powering their life support system, giving them vitae, or like the battery in it. In case you don't know, that is from Amnesia Rebirth. But basically, long story short, it's possible that could be that could be the motive for them entering Earth and then doing very inhumane things to humans just to take vitae from them, or adrenaline. Also, apologies if I have many voice breaks and many grammatical mistakes. I'm doing this in one take and I stutter a lot. Now, after the otherworldly people like had a few conflicts involving how they should treat ancient humans, they entered into some sort of alliance with it. Humans would take their nastiest criminals and offenders and give them to the otherworldly people, where they would torture them, scare them, just to extract that adrenaline. Now you see, this did not stop the otherworldly people from performing cruel acts on innocent people. So much so that the otherworldly people were more specifically the bourgeoisie, or the commoners, were tired of the higher ups or the more wealthy otherworldly inhabitants doing this to humans. So what they did was that they poisoned the life support systems. And we know this because in Amnesia Rebirth, a otherworldly inhabitant named Kita would lead this revolution. They would poison the water systems of the otherworldly people. This would then lead to mass poisoning and basically the downfall of their civilization. They weren't actually planning the mass poisoning part. They just wanted to strike at the ones indulging in adrenaline harvested from innocent humans getting tortured, but Oh, and I also have to mention that they torture humans because it happens to be the best possible way of extracting adrenaline. Hehe. As a result, this results in a downfall of the otherworldly civilization. They leave behind their technology on Earth, which would eventually be taken by humans a few generations later or centuries later. And this would lead to a crisis, basically. However, the otherworldly people are advanced enough to have automated machines and robots, which would explain how Empress Tinhanan was able to survive off Vitae, although there was basically no one else left to do the job for her. Robots did. Now, something else that we know is that the otherworldly people appear to have some type of bittersweet relationship with humans due to being around for a very long time on Earth for aforementioned purposes of harvesting adrenaline. They can speak multiple languages. They can speak Prussian, Algerian, French, and many other languages. Now, another thing that I noticed was that I keep calling the otherworldly people. Thing is, they're actually aliens. Don't blame me if you you thought Amnesia was about the supernatural. No, it's not. All I do was evaluate our current knowledge of the otherworldly people. This simply not a theory video. This a recap video on what to do, on what to know or what to think about the otherworldly people. Yeah, I remember being an Amnesia fan, but then when I watched Amnesia Rebirth story explained video and found out that the people were aliens, yeah, I did not take that lightly as well. Now, you see about the otherworldly people having a bittersweet relationship with humanity. We know that Alexander of Brandenburg went to Earth for many reasons. Maybe he was on a field trip, maybe he was just banished, as the notes in the Dark Descent say. But Alexander of Brandenburg helped found organizations, including the Order of the Black Eagle. Anyways, now Empress Tinhanan looks down at humans as a primitive and very weak species. I mean, it's not our fault that we came to existence in a time when the otherworldly people were at their prime. But yeah, the otherworldly people offered technology to humans. We know this is because in Amnesia the Bunker, we can find ancient Roman depictions in the Roman tunnels that depict the Romans holding orbs. And we know that by reading the texts in the Roman tunnels and looking at the statues and busts, we very well know that this was during a time period when the otherworldly people were in control. We know this is because if we look at the busts, we can see depictions or the faces of the Roman emperors who were around at the time. Thing is, those Roman emperors were from the second and third century, a time period when the otherworldly people were still around and still in control. Although there are many reasons why I don't like Amnesia Rebirth, at the same time, Amnesia Rebirth has its own fair share of upsides. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching.